Hey everybody, good afternoon, good morning if you're out west. It is about noon. This is noon Eastern Standard Time on the 8th of June 2021, and I'm just here to do my usual market update, doing a midweek update right now. I'm going to take a look at Bitcoin, I'm going to take a look at the S&P, I'm going to take a look at NASDAQ, I want to look at bonds, I want to look at Google, for obvious reasons. If you've been watching for any amount of time, you know that we've been watching Google for a while. But I want to pay attention to bonds because I think that things are really setting up for a significant move to the upside. So we're going to talk about that. Before I get into any of this, of course, as you all know, this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. You're responsible for your own trades, managing your own risk, doing your own research. I'm just giving my opinion on the market. So let's go ahead and take a look at the charts. Apologies ahead of time. My machine is running a little slow today, but we're gonna try and push through here. For Bitcoin, I mean, there's a lot of people that are talking about this. A lot of people are looking at the price action here on Bitcoin, and what I gotta say is, after what happened here, I would say that as of right now, I'm gonna be a little bearish. And typically I would say that it's too late to be bearish, but it's never too late. I would say the next rip that we're going to have, and looking at this on an hourly here for just a moment, the hourly looks okay. We have a nice solid buy here on Bitcoin, but I think this is going to end up being a sucker's rally. And I only say that because, well, on the daily, we were talking about this. We were setting up a squeeze on the daily. And I actually still believe that this squeeze is probably going to fire to the upside. But I would say that right here in this area, if we happen to make our way, and again, I've been talking about this 42 to 44 region for a while, at about 42,500, we're going to hit some serious resistance if we get there. And I mean, I'd say at this point it's a big if. Yeah, we do see some absorption here. I would say that it does look like it's probably going to move up. But, the other thing that a lot of people have been talking about, and I can't ignore this, is how we moved from one head and shoulders with our neckline right here to another head and shoulders with our neckline right here. Okay? If we break down from there, I think that we're going to see a significant bounce at 28,000. I think it's going to create somewhat of a bottom, but I do believe it's going to be a temporary bottom. What I'm looking at here. Let me just clean this up. Just a few things that I want to point out, and I want to make sure that you guys are all aware of this as well. We see down here in the oscillator, this is our MACD. We have a higher high here on the oscillator, whereas we are creating a lower high here on the price. This is bearish. Yeah, with this down here, I mean, it's definitely possible that we find ourselves come up here before we see a rejection, but I tend to believe that we're probably going to find some support down here at about 28 to 28.5. What I'm really looking at is this cluster, which is right here, and this coincides with the volume profile. So if you look at the volume profile that's over to the right, and this volume profile, just for the record, this volume profile is true for the price, because there's no history above 20,000, which is going to be right down here. I would expect there to be some support down here, but if we don't come back up, if we don't reclaim this quickly, and what I'm really wanting to see, I want to see a push down and then move back up here and see some consolidating here, and then I think we can find ourselves back up in this range. Ultimately, I think Bitcoin, and I mentioned this before, I think Bitcoin is in a several month corrective period. So what this would set us up for, let me just clean this up here, get rid of that. What I think Bitcoin is setting up for is basically, let me get my Elliott wave count on here. What I believe this is setting up for is a nice 1, 2, and we've talked about this a little bit. A, B, C, D, E. I think this is now confirmed. I was skeptical for a while. I think it's confirmed, and I think we're going to hit this 5. And I do believe that this is going to be a bottom for a while. And I think we're going to correct that whole move. So yeah, I think we are near the bottom. I think it's going to hit somewhere. Maybe it comes up here to about 27.6, maybe 28,000. But I do think we're going to hit a low at some point here in the near future. That's going to be the bottom. Then I think we correct, and then we can find ourselves up here at this 50% retracement, which is going to be an ideal place for a corrective target. We've seen this before. If I scroll back to 2017, 2018, we've seen something very similar to this. I want to point this out. Not that this is by any means exactly the same. We can take this top here to this bottom, and we came up near the 50, almost the 618. If I get off of log scale, we only made it to the 382. But what we're looking at is that retracement on a log scale to somewhere around the 50, maybe the 618. And I believe that that's what we're setting ourselves up for now when we do get that bottom, right? Because as of right now, honestly, I think our price action is right here. I think there is a few days, but I think potential for one last raid to see a recovery. And just by the way, back in February of 2018, this equaled 100%. We went from $6,000 bottom to $12,000 top, right? Not quite, but very, very close, right? I'm not saying that we're going to go from 30,000 or 28,000 to 56,000. I don't believe that's in the cards, but I'm just saying that we could have a nice relief rally, and there's going to be a lot of people that have been short right here. A lot of people are shorting or did short this wave 4 completion, which would have been wave E, right? We talked about how to take that trade. I didn't take it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I did, because I didn't. But a lot of people took that trade, and they're, maybe they know when to get out. Maybe they have already gotten out. But I would be interested in getting out of that short if you're in it somewhere around 30,000, maybe 29 or 28,000, because then I do think we're going to make that run up to about 42. From there, I think we're probably going to find ourselves down lower. I'm going to compress this, and I want to take a look at this. I probably should take a look at this on a 3-day time frame. Let me go ahead and do that. 3-day time frame, taking a look at Bitcoin again on this. I think it's very possible. I'm going to clear this all out. It is very possible that Bitcoin does make a run for these prices here, somewhere at the we'll call it $17,000 to $20,000 range. Now, I'm talking a couple months from now. I'm not talking tomorrow. Again, I still think that Bitcoin can make its way up to about $40,000 to $45,000. But ultimately from there, I think there's going to be another 50% drop. And that's going to hurt a lot of people. Just taking a look at this from down here all the way up to this high, retracing all the way down here to the 50, we haven't come down to the 382 yet. I believe we're probably going to find ourselves back down here at the 50. Before we see higher prices. I still think that Bitcoin can easily make its way up to over $100,000, but there's going to be some significant pain along the way. This 50 makes a lot of sense. I'm going to put a horizontal line there. That's going to be at about $16,350. Well, look, that would be a nice clean test of all-time highs. That would be a nice clean test of our clustering here. Obviously, the majority of the price action occurred down here in this range, between $6,000 and, right here at about $10,000, between $6,000 and $10,000. That's where a lot of the agreed price action is. You can obviously tell that there is a lot of accumulation that occurred down here between $3,500 and $4,000. But the agreed price action is going to be here. We've got a shelf that's sitting here at about 12,000. I don't think we're going to go that low. I would say that based on what I see here, a nice retest of this all-time high back in 2017 is more than likely going to be in the cards. But again, I think there's going to be some upside to somewhere in the mid-40s before that happens. So that's my thought on Bitcoin. I want to take a look here, and let me just make sure that there's no questions in the YouTube chat. Again, if you do have any questions, feel free to let me know in the YouTube chat. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you guys might have. I want to take a look at NQ. All right, so we're going to take a look at NASDAQ. I'm going to take a look at this on an hourly time frame. Hourly time frame, I'm going to get rid of the VPVR on here. I'm not really interested in the volume profile. We had a nice reaction off of this shelf, okay? So there was a nice reaction off of this. I'm not getting bearish just quite yet. I still think right here, we had a nice reaction off of that. I still think that we can, push higher. I still think that either by the end of the week this week or next week, I do think that NASDAQ is going to make new highs. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go straight there. It's not going to. There's going to be some chop because we have to try and shake people out of positions. That's just what the market does. That's what it does. From this high up here, it's very clear we've got a nice A, B, C correction. This looks like a completed correction, and I don't have any reason to believe that it's not. So I'm just going to go ahead and label this on this chart. From up here, I believe that we've got a nice clean A, B, C correction here. From this, you can see a nice little A, B, C inside of this. 1, 2. I could probably dig a 3, 4, 5 out of this. I'm not going to rush into that. A nice A, B, C. Then from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it finished very nicely. From there, I believe that we've got, a nice impulse here, and then ABC down here into the 2. I think we've got a 1, 2. Let's measure this here for a moment. If that is the case, and we do have a case for a 1 and then a 2, well, then we basically just hit wave 3. Okay? So we would have just hit wave 3. And I also talked about this the other day as well. We were in an NDX vertical, and we closed it yesterday. Like, I could have stayed in it today and taken a little bit more profit at the open, but we were right there at where our target is for a wave 3. I do believe that is a wave 3 that we took. Okay? So let me just label this, because this is clean, you guys. This is clean. 1, A, B, C, a deep 2, but it's a good 2. And then, from here, nice little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the 3. Okay? Working on that 4. Does it come back down here? I mean, it's possible that it will. It's possible we could see another 100 or 200 point drop. I'd be okay with that. But ultimately, I think that we're going to see a big move up to make new all-time highs, maybe retest this rail up here before we see a more serious correction. Okay? So this 4, we could just consolidate here for a little bit. We could come back down here into this cluster. But I do believe that we're going to see new highs. Are we going to hit the actual algo target? That's a big question. So I've got this labeled up here, this 14.5 to 14.7. This would be a significant top that I would be looking for if we can, make our way up there. We would, honestly, I'm expecting something like that to happen in the next 3 to 10 days. Okay, sometime between this Friday and next Friday. Maybe it's before this Friday. I doubt it. But sometime, I do believe we're going to make our way to new highs. We would need to see a serious rip to the upside. And, as of right now, we are getting a little bit of a pullback. We had a really good run-up, right? We had a really good run-up. And, again, you should have expected this. This shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. I've been talking about this for weeks, that we're going to be seeing a run-up, and I think that's what's happening right now. We're going to be consolidating for a little bit, and I do think it's going to make a move to the upside. I think we're going to make new highs, and the S&P 500 it's no different. Looking at the ES chart, taking a look at this, ES is absorbing even more than NASDAQ has. NASDAQ had more gains than the S&P did. I think it was yesterday. But again, here's finally finished loading here. Again, I believe that we are working on this wave 3. Okay, and from this, a nice 1, 2. Let me just clean this off here because I believe that corrective target has been realized. Well, what did we have here? This is not something we see very often. but I have to recognize it. This right here, we have an expanding wedge. We don't see that very often. From this low here, a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we go up for 5 to finish wave 3. I've just got these over here as placeholders. I do think that S&P is also going to see new highs. I think it's very possible the S&P does see that 4,300 mark, maybe even higher before the end of next week. Okay? And this expanding wedge, I mean, it looks pretty good. What do we have here? A, B, C, D, E. Finish that move. Finish wave 4. Let's see if we can get that in here. So the open today, you know, we had the big drop, but what didn't we violate? We did not violate this high that I've got here for this wave 1, right there. Put that there. We didn't violate it. It still looks okay. I think we're still, you know, still on track to go high, to go to highs. You know, there's some people in Discord. They did a really good job about catching the top of NASDAQ, for instance, today. It's a highly algorithmic chart that you can trade, and it's easily predictable. But I think that the drop that we had, you know, a lot of people, right? There's a lot of people out there that are really in a hurry to short the market. And if you short it at the open, I mean, darn it, good job. Good job. But you got to know that I believe, right? This is just my opinion, that I believe we're going to make new highs. I'm not interested in actually shorting the market until we make new highs, and we haven't really done that. Now, the S&P, right? So we have a high here at about 42.37. We didn't quite hit that, right? We didn't quite get to that high. Now, SPY is a little different story. I think SPY actually did. Let's just take a look here, just to be sure that I'm saying this right. I think SPY did make a new high. It did. So SPY made a new high, but it sold off. But it is absorbing, right? It is absorbing that move very, very nicely. Okay, you can see this right here. This current hourly candle, which has 8 minutes left, is engulfing this hourly candle here. Okay, so this is a big deal. If we engulf this candle, that's a big deal. Let's take a look at QQQ. QQQ was almost at 339. Actually, it looks like it broke 339, but it's not absorbing as much as the S&P is. So ultimately, I think that we're still healthy. We're still looking for continued movement to the upside. I don't have any reason to believe that that's going to change. I want to take a look at some bonds. Like TLT is a good example. So we took a trade on TLT. You know, it was back here. It was a while back. We got a trade on TLT, and I talked about this. You know, we've got this descending trend line. We had a pullback to the 618, and I said, you know, it's probably going to move up. And I believe I added on that day when we were talking about this, and really significant gap up today. So again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I was saying that bonds were going to see movement to the upside. Now they're starting to pull back a little bit, and naturally you would expect there to be, you know, some kind of a gap fill, maybe a retest of this level here at 139, 140. But I still think that bonds are okay. Bonds are okay. So we're definitely hitting a cap here where we had some tops on TLT, but it still looks okay. Some trades that we're in are on ZN. So this is the 10-year T-note futures. We added to this trade yesterday. So we added to this trade right here at about 132. That was a good move. So now we're at 132.12. We were also in ZB. So we're still in ZB, right? And this is looking good as well. I added to this yesterday as well. So this, again, looks really good. We look like we're creating a little bit of a flag here. I think ZN and ZB, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. Let's take a look at our good friend Google. Google, you know, for what it's worth, you know, we're back up at 2406. We had a nice open. But here's the Elliott wave chart that I've got on this right now. We hit this 1618, I was expecting to go a little bit higher. I was expecting, you know, a move up here to maybe the 175. We haven't gotten there yet. I would say that I'm probably going to shave more of my position here here a little bit later. I'm not so sure that we're going to you know, find a top here at 2,500 just quite yet. We're probably going to consolidate here for a little while before we see that move up to 2,500. I'm still interested in 2,500. From there, I think we do start a more significant correction. Okay, so we're going to take it one day, 1 hour at a time. We've made really great money on Google. We've made really great money on Google. You know, if you've been taking all of my trades on Google, we've made significant amounts of money. And right now, you know, we're still in an upward movement. The moving averages are still looking okay. You know, no significant squeeze here showing on the daily. Sorry, on the hourly. Take a look at the daily. You know, the daily still looks okay. It looks pretty healthy. The moving averages are fully erect. They look fine. You know, our different moving averages that we've got here are spread out pretty wide, which is also pretty bullish. So ultimately, I'm not super bearish on Google. I would not say that I am counter trading the market either. I would say right now the market is up. So I'm taking bullish positions. I'm not taking bearish positions yet. I will be taking bearish positions here in the near future, but it's just not there yet, in my opinion. So just to let you know, this is what I'm watching. This is what I'm looking at. I wanted to point this out. Let's see here. Let's take a look at the chat. No comments in the chat, so I'm going to go ahead and end the video for right now. I think I've got everything off my chest. Bitcoin potentially 28,000. I think that creates kind of a significant bottom for the medium term before we see a move up to about 45. Talked about that. Google, I think we're going to grind our way up to 2,500. I don't think it's going to happen as quickly as I expected or as I wanted it to. It would need to happen like tomorrow or Thursday for things to be really, really great. Let's see here for NASDAQ, for S&P. I still think they make their way to new highs. I don't see any reason to change that thesis either. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I think I got everything off of my chest that I wanted to say. If this video did help you in any way, shape, or form, like, subscribe, share all the good stuff. If you need access to our Discord, you can check out our website at bitdoctor.org. There's also a link in the video description. And, of course, wherever you are in the world, I hope you have a good day, a good night, and a good evening. Take care.